Hey there! Welcome back to another edition of Man Show. It's METV Friday. That's right, it's sort of a pre-flight before the weekend for Saturday morning cartoons. For the Saturday night movie of Svengoolie movie of the week, which is a great one. We will be showing Actually, we'll let Svengoolie himself explain what is the movie of the week. So we'll have that later on in the show. This is our Square Up questions and answers. And let me tell you something. Thank you. Once again, thank you to those of you, all of you, that has helped propel this channel. At the time of this recording, we're getting close. We're about, I would have to say, 15 away from hitting 300, and we've hit that faster than what Social Blade has predicted. So I'm hoping that we'll get to the 1,000 subscriber level, hopefully before the spring kicks in. I'm crossing fingers. But you, the viewer, you here on YouTube, thank you. You're the ones that make it. And those of you who haven't subscribed yet, I hope today is the day that I've earned your subscription, that basically you enjoy our product. Because that's important. It's important that I have your approval, because basically this is the direction we're heading. There are a lot of changes coming. Changes that throughout this channel that basically, it's stuff that you like. Some of the stuff, like for example, the METV stuff, you're enjoying that. You're enjoying the Saturday morning cartoon stuff, the Svengoolie, a lot of other things. I mean, we're making the changes on there. And like I said, there's a rebranding of this channel. There is one coming. We are working on it. And it's going to take a little time. And you'll start to see the little changes. You can see from the openings and endings of the show, some of the things we've added on, the graphics and stuff like that. We're beginning to rotate and change. It's a slow process. And when we get close to the complete rebranding, we will have a launch, sort of a launch party in a way. And let's see what we can do with that. Let's see what we can do. If we can get to 1,000 in a short time, I'll try to get something special for you guys. I mean, really, truly special. If we can hit that 1,000, I'm going to work on something very extra special for you guys. So, to thank you all. So, in our Q&A, let's start off on there. There's not many on there because basically we did a big one last week. So, we'll pick up from where we left off on there. And, of course, I've had a lot of thanks from people that have said thank you for saying it. They've emailed me, they've Twitter me, or however you want to say Twitter. They hit me in the notifications and stuff like that, and they thank me for mentioning them on the show. No, thank you. I thank you for commenting, because I like to see these comments on there. A criticism and also comments are very, very good. It's very important. That's what drives the show. It's because people are paying attention to what you're doing. And I'm not talking about people that just sit there and just throw their Puritan points at you. That they say, and there's a good amount of people that are doing that these days. A good amount. So let's start off with the top, and most of these are going to be about METV and the Saturday morning cartoons. Let's start with High Roller. 80s has been the best Saturday morning tunes, hands down. High Roller, thank you for commenting on there. You could say yes. Let me tell you, when it comes to Saturday morning cartoons, 70s and 80s were the pinnacle point of Saturday morning cartoons, because that's you had so much, so many companies, so many properties that were putting out so much to the kids at the time. I mean, I'm a 60s, 70s kid. I was born in the 60s, grew up through the 70s, into the 80s and beyond. And, there was a lot of cartoons I watched. I even watched anime, and I've said this before. I started anime in the 70s, believe it or not. I started watching in the 70s. And you say, like, well, how could you do that? There was no internet. There weren't broadcasting here. I said, yeah, they were, actually. They were, because you had, and I said this before, Channel 47 WNJU out of New Jersey, which was the affiliate. I'm trying to remember, are they Telemundo or? They're one of the Spanish networks here. My mother watches it. Hey, this is when you're in a Spanish family. You watch the novellas. But you also had anime cartoons courtesy of Nippon Television. If you ever... Let me show the reason why. If you ever notice on late night television, you had those infomercials at the time and stuff like that. You didn't have that back then, really. What happened was you either went off the air or you threw classic movies on all night or some sort of programming all night, repeats of some classic sitcoms or stuff like that. Or like I said, you go off the air. What Channel 47 did to keep themselves budgeted well, they sold some of their programming time to Nippon Television. So at about 7, 8 o'clock on Saturday night, Channel 47 went off the air and allowed Nippon TV to take over their broadcasts, because this was a UHF state at the time. This was UHF. This was like early cable, so the switchover was just basically taking over their transmitters. So Nippon took them over, and basically you saw anime cartoons. For the first half, and then they went into their regular programming, talk shows and novellas, Japanese novellas and game shows and stuff like that throughout the whole evening. But getting back to this, I mean, I could run down, and we're going to run down some things down the line. We're going to have some episodes coming along the line that are going to show some of the history of Saturday morning cartoons. You know what I've been watching? I've just been watching lately, and I found it on YouTube. I found the original Sabrina Teenage Witch Saturday morning cartoons. That's not the ones that were based on the TV show. I'm talking about the original ones with Groovy Ghoulies and the Archies TV show, which those characters appeared on the Sabrina series itself, and it was really good. Take a look on that. Type in Sabrina Teenage Witch, you'll find them. There's like a whole bunch of episodes available out there. But like I said, there's so much you can watch, and there are a bunch of YouTubers out there that have been sharing. Some of them criticizing it, some of them enjoying it, some of them showing the craziness. I think that the group is called Found Footage Fest. They do a Saturday morning cartoon show with they sit eating cereal and going through an episode of a Saturday morning cartoon. I mean, check these guys out. They're pretty good. I do enjoy that programming. Thank you very much. Derek Penman's back again, and I had to put this one up there. Wild Dude, I feel honored. You're very welcome. That's that I responded to his comments last week. Derek, just thank you for commenting. If you've subscribed, thank you. I probably have earned your subscription. Thanks again. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on down a little bit. Thomas Tejea. Way to go, METV. You outdid yourself. I'm impressed about the new lineup on Saturdays. But will you keep going on with the weekend classic of shows, anime cartoons, not to mention, of course, stop animation, which leads to puppet and claymation? I guess it'll only be time will tell you. But I'm sure, I hope that you do a good job at bringing back the classics again. Now, this one's a good one. It's a mixture. What you consider anime, I think you probably, in a way, you're talking about Transformers and those Saturday morning cartoons that were made overseas and stuff like that. Yes and no, you could say they're anime. There are a lot of discussions back and forth. Would MeTV pick those up? Not immediately. I don't think they would pick something up right now. I think they're going to be concentrating on a lot of the stuff from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and a little bit into the 80s, depending on how far they go in. But I think you're going to see a lot of the older stuff. Now, when it comes to the stop motion claymation on there, you're probably talking about Gumby and all those others on there, David and Goliath. David and Goliath is more religious. Those are available on religious networks on your cable system on there. I wouldn't fathom for METV to get it, but yeah, you never know. Now, as far as the puppet ones, we already have one. Not a classic one. We have Tune In With Me with Toonie the Tuna. Basically, that is hashing back to the old days, and I've talked about this before. Captain Kangaroo, Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, and many others that basically had Saturday morning shows that spanned through several decades, from the 50s on, and they had great, you could go all the way back to Howdy Doody, it's Howdy Doody time. And would they pick those up? Yeah, probably eventually. I mean, it wouldn't be unheard of for them to do that. Maybe later in the day. I think they're trying to balance everything out and not take away from their Western customers. Also, I would say that if anything, if they're going to extend the programming, it'll be till noon, which that's what it was back then. 11 o'clock noon, which Saturday morning cartoons used to go to, and then programming would switch. Because I know they have, I've heard this before. People got a little upset that the Saturday morning cartoons took over the Westerns, but still, you got the afternoon. The Westerns are in the afternoon, and then Sci-Fi Saturday night in the evening. So basically, you get that. Everything else will come in order when whatever they decide what to do and how this Saturday morning cartoon block does. And it's so far from what I've seen from comments, it's doing very, very good. Thank you, Thomas, for commenting. Agent Darkness. One before I go any further, I love some of the names on the sites that people have on their accounts, on their social media accounts. I mean, some of them are a little crazy, some of them a little long on there, but you have to applaud on the naming process that some of these people choose on there, and I have to applaud some of them. So getting back to Agent of Darkness, I hope METV will have Muppet Babies, the Chipmunks 1980 versions, and the versions from the 50s and 60s, and other shows like Inspector Gadget, He-Man, G.I. Joe, stuff like that when I grew up in the 80s, but I also grew up with Looney Tunes and stuff as well. As far as the G.I. Joe, you could find them on, right now YouTube has a channel, Hasbro has a channel on YouTube, and they're running it 24/7. Everything except the movie. I wish they would show the movie, but they're showing like all the the Revenge of Cobras, all those episodes of the early part of the series, and the main series itself. I would say go check them out, on there. Now, getting to stuff like Muppet Babies, there is a reboot coming, supposedly, but there's a lawsuit also behind that, as well as the person who originated the Muppet Baby TV series. So I doubt we see that anytime soon. I doubt it all, because basically there's a lot of issues with that right now. Chipmunks, yeah, you could probably say the Chipmunks on there. Inspector Gadget, right now they've had various versions on there. It's hard to say on that. It's very hard to say on there, because I know there's some multiple rights issue with Inspector Gadget, film rights and television rights, because various companies now have that. One thing is that a lot of these companies, they don't want to give up their stuff to, especially if they own their own sites, stuff like AT&T, Warner, Comcast, and stuff like that. That they own companies that basically have rights to programming cartoons and stuff like that. They want to keep it for themselves, and if they do, they're going to lease it out at a very high price. And some companies like METV, they've been around for a bit, but and they're doing very well. I don't think they're willing to pay really major dollars. If they're going to charge extortionate rates, they're going to pass on it, because there's tons of other libraries that they can take from and other good shows that they could use on there. I mean, there's some stuff that, wow, you wouldn't believe on there. I mean, did you know there was a Karate Kid animated series? Yeah, there was a Karate Kid animated series, considering that, Cobra Kai is very popular right now. Would we see a comeback to that to television? With Cobra Kai being popular, it's hard to say. But it would be advantageous of somebody who owns the rights to that to put that back up on there, and they'll get the viewership, backing up with the Cobra Kai. Sean T. Shoot, you did better with the Filmation library. I don't know what you mean by that, but Filmations, they have a decent library. I mean, depending on who you ask. Depends on who you ask. I mean, right now, you've seen a push for the Ghostbusters, not the Bill Murray Ghostbusters. And we're going to discuss this on an episode. There is another Ghostbusters series. If you have not seen this on there, there was an original Ghostbusters TV series animated that ran at the same time as it. That's why you see the original Ghostbusters or the real Ghostbusters. You'll see taglines like that on the TV series, because Ghostbusters goes back all the way to a Larry Storch Saturday morning TV series. Yeah, that's right. Ghostbusters was part of the Saturday morning cartoons back before there was a Ghostbusters movie. That's right. Yes, the TV series that Filmations worked on is a continuation. The Larry Storch character and his partner on there, these are their kids as far as their character goes, that their sons take over the business. And basically the gorilla is also part of it. Yes, there is a gorilla in Ghostbusters. Before you go in the comment line, go crazy. What do you mean a gorilla? There's a gorilla. Type in the Ghostbusters Filmations, you'll see it. There are episodes available out there. Some of them pay. I mean, there has been a remastering of it, and it came out pretty good. Now, Sean Teen goes also on, if they're not going to show cartoons from the 80s, it's going to suck. No, it's not. You have to remember one thing. They have to start somewhere. And when they start somewhere, then they can see where their viewership is and what they're going to put on this channel. And the thing about it is, the choices are astronomical as far as what you could see. I mean, Sean, there's so much programming that they can use. And they have to decide which ones would suit best for their network. And, looking at the cartoons they have, take a moment and take a look at them and enjoy them, because basically there's some stuff in there that cancel culture, the Twitter Puritans, would be screaming at. I mean, the Tex Avery stuff alone, they hate Tex Avery cartoons. And the Popeye stuff. I mean, there's some stuff on the Popeye stuff. Someone did a whole video, because there's an episode of Popeye. Popeye kills somebody. Yes, that's right, folks. Popeye does kill somebody. It's in a joke way, but the way it's done, it's a la Looney Tunes and stuff like that. Catch it out. I forgot the name of the video on there, but if you look it up under Popeye killed somebody, you'll get the video. But yeah, I mean, there's some stuff out there that Betty Boop, and a lot of the Looney Tunes stuff, Tom and Jerry stuff, the Tex Avery, that basically people will hate. But they were good cartoons. They were funny cartoons. Even the Popeye one that I mentioned, is very funny. Okay, moving on. Now this comment is from, we did a video about the movie Grease. Recently during the holidays, it aired in the UK and Twitter had a conniption. because basically they were just literally bashing the movie, not understanding from the time that the movie was made from an unusual time period in history, and a lot of the stuff that was in there was going on, and they didn't really understand it. This is one of the things that you have to understand is you have to read history, look at what was going on, and not judge it by what about 5 people talk about when they say it on Twitter. Twitter is not a schoolroom. It's not a schoolroom of history. You know, you won't get proper education if you live on Twitter. Adam75AU. I understand what he was about to say, but the way he wrote it, Porky's is another one. If you guys have never seen, and the other day I was watching, who was it? Was it Midnight's Edge? One of the other shows on there. No, World Class Bullshitters. Someone on one of the guys that they had on there never saw Porky's, and I said, "Really?" And I sat back on there, and I said to myself, "Wow, you've never seen one of the." I tell you at the time, you know, this was technically from a point of view, it was a box office hit. I mean, this was a great movie on there. And back in my day, I knew and met Daniel Monahan, who's one of the main characters in this series. He played Pee-wee, a company I used to work for. He was a client. He was a client for a company I worked for, and I talked with him a couple of times. And you know, he would talk about his day on the sets and stuff like that. And he said, you know, yeah, I had some fun and stuff like that. It was a crazy days being on there. I mean, you have to remember, if Porky's was a series about a bunch of high school teens, and basically talking about virginity and stuff like that. And you know, there were romps of sex and stuff like that. One of the infamous scenes is the private part in the shower scene where one guy, and it would be cancel culture today, and I'm surprised they haven't brought this up, where a guy decides to flash his privates at the girls in the shower through what you call these days as a glory hole. And what it doesn't realize is that the girls had all ran off, and one of the teachers showed up, and she's played by Nancy Parsons. If you haven't seen Motel Hell, she's in that movie. She's fantastic in that. She's in Porky's, and she has a great role as one of the gym teachers. Something happens, I'm not going to give it away, that basically has you crying. And the aftermath later, where she's trying to complain about it, has you ripping in tears. Catch this movie before they decide to cancel this out, or get it. This is one movie you have to get. Actually, you could watch it on Prime Video on Amazon. Definitely do catch it when you get a chance on there. Kim Cattrall is in it.
Oh boy, the boys' locker room always turned me on.
And that's another one that has a, how are we gonna say, ooh boy, talk about a screamer. You'll understand when I see it, but do catch it. And you know, yeah, we'll probably see something on that later on, that they'll start going after it. It did spawn sequels on there, and it touched off on a lot of things, including racism and stuff like that, because this was done in Florida at the time. And so this was in the South. The movie took place in the South, and I mean, and the main emphasis was that, you know, it was basically they were going to a hooker house. You know, that was the whole premise, that they were trying to get to this place called Porky's. So thank you, Adam. Thank you for commenting. And yeah, that would be another one. Now, getting back to these, this person commented twice on 2 different videos. One of them is on the Saturday morning cartoons. The other one is on Hero Academia. Let me take the Saturday morning cartoon first, and it's Yuko-san13, and he is a subscriber. Thank you. You subscribed a week ago, so thank you for joining on the family. I hope that I've done my best for you. Thank you very much. The Pluto TV app, which is free. Yes, it is free, folks. I've always said that on here. Always had several channels 24/7 with old cartoons. Some I grew up with, others I've never seen. It's not bad. Got the Amazon Fire Stick for $17 for Christmas and put it on the apps so it plays on the big TV. The Fire Stick is a real deal since my dad finds it all kinds of apps with different shows. Yeah, it's great seeing, you know, like I said, Pluto TV has old cartoons. So does Tubi TV. I mean, you know, here's a perfect example. Did you know there was a Stargate cartoon? Yeah, there was a Stargate cartoon. In between all the series and stuff like that, they made a Stargate cartoon. And it was decent. It was okay. Didn't last long, but it's there. And there are many other series and stuff like that that are available on stuff like Pluto TV and Tubi TV, including Saturday morning cartoons. And it's great to have something like that. But going back to METV, hey, to have it there, to be able to say, hey, I can wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, grab a bowl of cereal, sit in front of my TV and say, I got some Saturday morning cartoons, yay! You know, and that's a great thing. You know, it's a happy thing. You know, I wish my friend Richard was here, you know, and because he would enjoy this the best, because he was a guy who was into Looney Tunes, and you know, he's a person that he knew all these cartoons. Top Hat, he back in the day, he interviewed several people involved in some of these Saturday morning cartoons. I'm trying to go through some of the videos and try to find those interviews, and hopefully we might be able to bring those to you. Let's see what happens. Now, continuing on the My Hero Academia that Yuko-san13 commented as well, he put up, I think manga is easier for readers to pick up. You start with volume 1 and end when the writer finishes the story. There is no reboot or new timeline. A lot of children pick up manga for Pokemon, Zelda comics, but as they grow older, they go to Attack on Titan, etc. Manga has a lot of genre variety, which that's true. Izakaya is right now is a big genre right now in the manga and in the anime world. Though I know American comics have published very indie comics, they're mostly known for superheroes, and honestly, some of those comics are good, but others are too adult and isolated female reader demographics. I have to disagree with you on that. Now, understand that the original comic book was, if you go by Alan Moore, he said, hey, those were made for kids, which that's the truth. You know, a lot of it was made for boys and stuff like that, but understand, there are comics made for females out there. I mean, back when I was young, we had the Archie comics and the some of the stuff that was on the Terry Toons and some other network and Disney as well. And then there were some from the mainstreams like Marvel Universe and DC that were in their indie section that were made for women. Problem is, here's the main as far as female-centric stuff. You know, everyone says, there's not enough for the women. There's not enough. No, it's out there. Thing about it is, it's how it's promoted. Some of it's promoted okay, and others are promoted not well. It's not fully promoted on there. The other half is some of the stories and some of the stuff doesn't do well with some of the female audience. This is why manga does well with the ladies also, because of some of the stories that they put on there, especially the Spice of Life and some of the others on there that are just like, you know, like Rent a Girlfriend, you know, and the Autoplix one, that's also is popular with some of the women out there. But there's also those similar type of comic books that are there. But, some things don't work well with everybody. Everybody has their niche. And this is the reason why when they say, well, we're not diverse enough, we don't have this and this and that. No, it's out there. Have they written a good story about it? Probably yes and probably no, depending on the storyline. There have been plenty of female superheroes. There have been plenty of minority superheroes throughout the history of comics. Problem is, have you picked it up? Have you looked for it? It is there. They've been sitting there for decades. There are plenty of stories out there that are toward most, whether it's male, female, or minority, they've been there. Now, yes, they have concentrated stronger toward the male end because that is their business. Understand, if you have a store and basically you mostly have guys come in and you try to put up things for the girls and the girls don't come in, what are you going to do? You do the best you can and you satisfy your large percentage of the customers. That is what is normally going to happen. That's the way this business is run. You're going to write or you're going to sell stuff that your largest amount of people are going to buy. Women makes up a huge amount of regular book buying, so it doesn't seem like a good idea to try not to reach them out to buying comics. And like I said, on that next line there, it depends on the story. Not everybody's going to like your stories. Even on the male end, there are guys I know that don't buy comics. They hate comics. They want to do nothing with comics. You have to remember, the fandom is a focused group. You can't bring everybody in. We will welcome anybody that comes in, anybody that's new. We love to see new people in because possibly they may have not caught a story, and we would love to talk to them and get their 2 cents on a story that we have sat there and looked at and said, hey, listen, this is a good story. Why don't you tell me how you felt about it? And like I say, at the end of every one of the episodes, tell me how you feel about it in the comments line. So, when you say that, it's been there. It's been in this business. But the thing about it is, it hasn't really worked well. I mean, has they found the really niche to catch everybody? Depends on what you call everybody. Not everybody who reads books reads comics. Actually, they should, but you can't push everyone to read stuff like that. But I'll tell you this: a lot of the manga stories, I know more women find that more interesting. Here's one for you. And this is way off the kilter on there. You won't believe this. Would you believe during the 80s, women rented more pornography than men? More people that say, oh, no, the men are going in there. Believe it or not. I used to work for video stores. And I had a large amount of women. It was women and people who were gay purchased and rented more videos than men. That's shocking to you on there. But it has been in the entire industry. Even though the industry is it's a male-dominated industry, but females were there too. So it goes to show, it goes by your niche. What is your niche? What do you like? Sometimes those stories don't hit upon everybody. Also, it would be better to have a new online distribution status. Webtoon is starting to make small fortunes in America with their webcomics app. There are some out there. Viz is doing on there, but there's an issue with Viz now and with censorship. And I think that might get them in trouble a little bit because they've been starting to censor some of the stuff. But companies like Viz and a couple others are slowly starting to move over. They got to figure out if they can make any money off of it. You have to remember, it's all money. It's either in advertising dollars or if they can get a couple bucks out of it. Like Viz is just a couple bucks a month, and that's sometimes advantageous if you want to read as many manga as you want in a month. Because sometimes that when you're on a budget, especially now the way things are going, mangas are about average $12 these days if you buy them online. You might be able to get them cheaper on eBay or in stores direct if you go into stores directly, but there's not that many manga stores. One advantage is there should be more manga stores opening up. New York has one itself. Downtown Manhattan, there's a nice big one. It's a nice big one out there. Some webtoons are made by Americans. Others are translated Korean comics from the original websites that are popular, but mostly it's a place to showcase new artists and authors, interact with the community of fans, and easy to read new chapters of varied web comics without having to bookmark 1,000 different websites. So I feel DC and Marvel need to catch up with the times and get themselves out there in advertising, though I feel Marvel could get bought up by Disney as well. They have a book publishing. Yuka-san, I don't know where you are in the world, but Marvel is Disney. Disney does own them at this point. As far as it moving forward, I hate to say this to you, if you haven't seen any, you're a new subscriber. Disney and Marvel are on their way out. I'll tell you that. DC and Marvel are on their way out. I'll refresh myself there. DC is closer. I mean, mostly you're probably, the only thing you're going to see when these guys do truly get out of the business is mostly you're going to see classics, reprints of classics, and also stuff online. That's about it. Any new stuff, I don't foresee them doing. I mean, right now DC has canceled pretty much a lot of stuff, and so has Marvel. And in the DC offices, you have the interns and the gophers that are mostly running the office. So that should show you where the mainstream comic book industry is. Indie comics, on the other hand, stuff guys like Ethan Van Sciver, Sweetcast, and other ones are doing a fantastic business. For the realization is they're not bending the knee, they're not going for woke or anything of that nature. I mean, perfect example is that comic that came out, The High Republic. You could catch a lot of videos on how they built this comic up, and it's a joke. I mean, there's one part where they used a lightsaber to hang off a mountain. Now, I know the guy who wrote that in said, yeah, I messed up on it. He did admit that. But still, when you look at that perspective and they did something like that with the lightsabers in the mountain holding them up, and they say, that's how they end up rescuing themselves. You haven't read the previous books. You know nothing of Star Wars. And that's the exact thing. Most of these people are not Star Wars material. Where's Kevin Richardson? Where's everybody else in this business that have written some fantastic novels? The Jedi Academy trilogy, Heir to the Empire, the Thrawn trilogy, all these books that have been, that Kathleen Kennedy says that doesn't exist, that they don't have any information of where they can go with this series, that they've been sitting on for quite some time, and some of them that they haven't even paid them. They haven't paid their royalties to them. And that's another issue. That's another issue in itself. Those writers haven't had their royalties paid. So you can imagine the sinkhole Disney, for example, has put themselves in. And if you want perfect example, look what they're doing with the Muppets. Absolutely nothing. They can't even sell the Muppets off. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants the Muppets. Not even the Henson Corporation. The Henson Corporation could buy it up. Nope, it's damaged property. It's damaged goods. Even though their son doesn't like the Muppets and stuff like that, he'd rather do stuff or create his own stuff, create his own one. And he has. And you see stuff like the Dark Crystal and stuff like that. Labyrinth, and they've created some fantastic stuff throughout the years. And people criticize the Happy Time murders, But when you look at the Happy Time Murders, you know, you may not like it. It's something different. It is something. It's an adult genre, and that's what he was looking for. Something toward the adult genre, because basically it's a comedic sense. It's making fun of what his dad made, and that's what, you know. Everything can be made fun of, and you have to understand that people make fun of everything. Comedians make fun of all. There's nobody can escape any joke. You know, you can joke about anything. Depends on, you know, if you cross the line, depends on how far you cross the line. But still, you know, people are saying, you know, what would George Carlin think of today? You know, we lost a great man. We lost a great man because he had a great insight on the world. You know, you know, it'd be interesting what he would think of the world today on there. Yuka-san, thank you. And once again, thank you for signing and joining with us. Thank you very much. Now, the next one, basically, it's from Anita Hamlin, and it's about the Dark Shadows, which is right now, it's still one of my top videos right now. I love Dark Shadows and truly see no one but Jonathan Frid as Barnabas Collins. His cameo was the best part in Tim Burton's movie. Jonathan was so genuine and classically trained. It showed what Barnabas was with Barnabas so well. Yes, you're right. He is so great. But you also have to say the 1990 version of the series with Ben Cross, Joanna Going, Gene Simmons, Barbara Steele. The late Ben Cross, he did a great job of it. Johnny Depp, some people said, hey, he's good, stuff like that. But see, I found that there is a problem with the writing. They were all over the place with that idea. The Dark Shadow TV series at least focused on there and was trying to stay within the parameter of the original series, because it was in the 90s. It was not that far off from the series itself, the series that Dan Curtis created. Even though the production company believe it or not, the production company for the TV series, for the 91 series, was Dan Curtis as well. So he knew what needed to be done. You know, this is another series that basically didn't last long, and it was in the time period where vampires, you know, was big too. Also, remember you had Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I think it was Embrace was the other one, which was about different vampire covens. You know, they were like all different types of like they had one, the Nosferatu clan and stuff like that. That was one series that was also very promising in its time period as well. And there were many other type of vampire series. I mean, we can go through a whole history of the vampire TV series because there was so many of them. And then you can hark on to some of the movies that were out. There was so many as well, from many great directors, John Carpenter, many others on there. And, you know, like I said, you know, like Anita says, Barnabas Collins, you know, the character done by Jonathan Frid, yeah, he was fantastic. I mean, you know, you have to remember, at that time period, television was still growing. Cable wasn't even in yet. Cable was just someone's thought on a table at this point. You know, it's black and white television. To do something like that on nationwide television, half-hour horror, you know, after you had stuff like Outer Limits and Twilight Zone, stuff like that, and to throw something of this nature in the fold on regular late afternoon television, not on prime time, was just basically a genius. And from everyone from that era, I always hear, I've run home from school just to catch, you know, Jonathan Frid, to catch, you know, all the characters on this show, and it was great, you know. And it is fantastic when you see something like of this nature back then. And I encourage anyone, those of you out there who are my subscribers and non-subscribers, go out there, go to Amazon, go to Tubi TV, check them out. There are episodes available. Where to start? hard to say. Most people start with I think it's in the 200 something. I'm trying to remember the episode where Jonathan Frith comes in. But the prior episodes to Jonathan Frith, the early parts are very good as well. It shows, that you could have a dark horror genre series and not have vampires or werewolves, anything like that. You can have real ghost characters and stuff like that, and revenge. Many different things can be thrown in there. And as Dark Shadows was for the era, from the black and white era, even though the color era is also very good episodes as well, but the black and white era is fantastic. What can you say about that? Anita, thank you very much. Thanks to all of those who have commented. We're going to try to do this on a weekly basis, depending on how many comments we get. So please comment away. Right now, most of my comments come through YouTube. I do get some on Twitter and some of the other platforms. Because of some of the issues on there, I don't know if YouTube would allow it on there, because some of the language is very spicy. We're trying to clean up the other. So, people criticize about Parler and it's bad on there, but Twitter, a lot of the comments I get out on Twitter is just horrible. It's just really, it's not something you would put up on here. Not for nothing, on there. I mean, everybody's got their point of views and aspects on stuff like that, but some of the stuff is, you don't want to give them a platform to talk on there, because basically that's what they're looking for. They're just looking for a platform to push their own politics and hate on there, and that's not what this channel's for. This channel's for constructive criticism and conversation, and that's what it is. It's plain simple. And so far, a lot of the comments I've been getting have been great. There have been comments we've had to censor. We've had to thrown into the garbage pile and stuff like that, because it's just it's either spam or it's just literally just insanity. It's just pure insanity, and that's not what we're here for. You can get a little insane, a little bit, man with the show, but not to the point where it's just literally, Norman Bates level. So thank you again. Thank you. So we're getting ready for Sci-Fi Saturday and Saturday morning cartoons. Before we go, let's check in with Svengoolie. What is the movie of the week this week, Svengoolie?
This week on Svengoolie,
my boys call it the Black Lagoon.
uh-oh, you know what that means.
It appeared to be human.
That's right, the catch of the day is Creature from the Black Lagoon on the next Svengoolie. Saturday at 8, 7 Central on METV.
That's right, folks. Creature from the Black Lagoon. I think you've had this one before. But it's always a great classic. I remember this one in 3D. I remember years ago, one of the independent stations, they made a deal, I think with 7-Eleven or stuff like that. You go in, you buy something, and they gave you a pair of free 3D glasses, and they showed it in 3D. Even though the 3D back then is not so great as the 3D is today, but still, it's good to watch it in that parameter, as far as, when you watch a movie, seeing it in the original 3D. And it is a great movie. This is one of the legendary Universal horror monsters, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, which spun off in a sequel as well. Or is this the sequel? I'm trying to remember which is one on there. So, Svengoolie, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, January 16th on METV, which it happens to be my birthday, so happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Yeah, that's right. Good choice for my birthday to have one of the great Universal classics on there. So we come to the end. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing, liking, hit that notification bell. Don't forget, Svengoolie, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Saturday morning cartoons, 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Central, on your local these programs on your local METV channel. If you don't have METV on your cable service, hook up an antenna. You should be able to pick it up. If not, contact your local cable company or local UHF service out there to get METV, or contact METV and let them know, hey, listen, I can't get you. Believe me, I've seen this plenty of times on the Facebook Svengoolie fan page. I see people say, oh, I've lost it and stuff like that. And they say, but there are other places you can get it. You know, METV is expanding out the best they can. The best. Also, don't forget, tune in with me on Mondays, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Central on METV as well. Also, you'll find Man with the Show every Wednesday and Friday. Normally early afternoon these days. It's also Friday as well, so don't forget Friday Night Tights right here on YouTube via NERDROTIC and Geeks and Gamers. Check them out. You want to have a good laugh, have some fun for several hours. Check them out. One of the great live streams here. They're great. The World Class Bullshitters stream on there. Toxic Femininity. Some of the others that are such great live programming we have here on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming aboard on here on Madman with the Show. And don't forget, what do we do, Jay? Share this video. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the movie of the week on Sci-Fi Saturday Night. Thank you again. Bye-bye now.